Folks, welcome back. This is it, Mooney Leaks Volume 2. How's everybody doing? A warm welcome to all of the new audience that has materialized in the wake of the release of Mooney Leaks Volume 1. If you're interested in some of the many unforeseen consequences and delightful coincidences that resulted from the release of Mooney Leaks Volume 1, I would suggest going to the Leakception episode on the audio version of this podcast. But for now, I want to focus directly on the matter at hand. Let's get straight to it. Let us review another fantastic leaked internal document from the Unification Church, and it features none other than Mr. Damien Dunkley. Let's see what this guy's got to say. Okay, we got the familiar array of faces from the Unification Church leadership. Let's dive in.
Okay, so once again, welcome to this meeting. We're gonna do something a little bit different. So as you all know, True Mother is coming this weekend. So I know a lot of our youth and young people are getting ready and for this exciting event. But we actually also have President Damien is already in Las Vegas, and because it's busy and they're preparing, usually we hear his special message at the end, but we're actually going to invite him up in the beginning so that he can continue on preparing. So let's please welcome up Regional Chair and President, Reverend Damien Dunkley.
Welcome, Damien. I'm so happy to see you again. What do you have to say for yourself?
Thank you, Shizuka. Oh, I didn't know we referred to my message as special. Is that special message or special needs message? I'm not quite sure. Thank you. All right.
That's a fucking dumb joke. What the fuck, Damien?
I'm going to share and diving in. So, hello, thank you, everybody. Thank you for receiving me first. I'm actually going to have to duck out. We're preparing for a meeting with President Song and Yonanim and a few key leaders to go over the proposed schedule, right, for ACLC and for the youth.
Quick recap for those that aren't in the know. ACLC, again, American Clergy Leadership Coalition, I believe. Again, it's like a word salad, just random bouquet of letters that basically signifies another Mooney Front group that's focused on outreach to the Black Christian community. Keen listeners from Mooney Leaks Volume 1 will know that one of the sort of subplots in that episode was basically Damien trying to milk money through the ACLC from other churches, basically getting them to try and pay tribute to the Moon family from other churches. By the way, just for the audio people, in terms of how this all looks, Damien is looking like a little more cash than last time, I would say. Open collar shirt. He's wearing sort of a bit more like a casual jacket. He's still got the glasses, and he definitely looks like a businessman. This is not a religious meeting. This is a business meeting. We're about to hear from someone who's interested in numbers. I can tell you that just by the way this guy looks. Let's continue. Oh, and the slide right now says quick review and upcoming. So let's go.
And it's amazing, right? Those of you that do events, how many details, right? But when you're with Mother, it's like even the finite matter of seating arrangements will probably be changing up until the last minute, you can imagine. So we're going to be at least starting that conversation. I don't want to be late for it. So that's why we're starting with the report from me, and then we'll go into the rest of the program with testimonies. Thank you all for your great...
I just want to say, if you're so interested in saving the world, Damien, why do you care about seating arrangements? Does it really seating arrangements for some billionaire? How does spending your time on that help you save the world? Just curious.
Holy work this last week. Did you have a good week? Yeah, you had a good week. And did you enjoy last week's meeting? Last week I was in Dallas. I think, was I in Dallas? We just arrived here, Yumiko and I, back from the Bay Area. And that was the 7th stop of the 8-city tour with Professor Kim and Reverend Shin. And today at 5 local time, we have the last of the meetings with them on this tour. Of course, they're going to make another presentation, I think, for ACLC and the youth, but the tour is really concluding today. And so thank you for your prayers and your support and all of you who have attended that. So yeah, I just finished my 2nd national tour because I was only in Bay Area 10 days ago, right? Finishing up the Rebirth tour. So I kind of lost track of time, which day it is, what time zone I'm in, where I have my bags, where I live. I have no idea. I'm just riding the whitewater rapids of God's providence, like I've always advised everyone to do. So I thought it would be useful to communicate to you really clearly kind of what's on my mind. And please understand, maybe you can see my face first. Like before I share it, please understand, if those of you who aren't like familiar with, my style of leadership, because I believe the objective.
Something good's going to happen here. I actually haven't listened to this yet. I know something fucking great is about to happen here. That's just what I think. Let's hear.
The objective needs to be very clear, of course, and sometimes there's multiple objectives or internal, external objectives, measurable objectives and hard to measure objectives and so on. But if we know the direction we're going, I think that it allows for the maximum amount of creativity to achieve the objective, right? And so that applies also to what I'm going to share with you today. What that means is I'm going to be sharing with you what I strongly propose to do, but I appreciate that every community is different and every leader has different situations they're dealing with and has different creativity to solve the same or similar challenge. So in that sense,
let me guess, the challenge is money. I'm going to go a wild limb here and say the challenge is money.
I always want you to feel like full ownership and creativity. However, what we're going to look at next is not really rocket science, and it's not really, it's quite straightforward. So I expect that most of you should really, follow my suggestion or share with me an even better suggestion. And again, given that each community is a different size, you're going to have to approach it uniquely in each case anyway. But in summary, like my wife's trying to train me to start with the conclusion, as you know. So the conclusion is this: we've just come through 4 months, and our singular focus from headquarters in communication with you has really been about the Chonchim One. Now, at the local level, at the community level, you see the reality within the families and within the community much better than headquarters can ever see, right? So I appreciate that all of you are, working hard at the local level according to those local circumstances. And I know as a pastor, when headquarters comes down with new initiatives and new things to do, it can often just be really like a extra headache, extra burden. I understand. But you're, at each level of the organization, you're also kind of given a different perspective and a different view of clarity that is beneficial for the local level also. And so I'm trying to bridge where Mother's trying to go and where we are and where we need to go. If I was just carbon copy repeating what IHQ is saying, what Mother is saying in a sense, I would just say witness, 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 everybody on the front line witness. So certainly that is the overall goal. but how to get there. And
just for newcomers, witnessing basically means recruiting new members.
And how to pay attention to what challenges we're facing initially is really important. So that's why we're kind of going through very slowly, in a sense. So for the conclusion is, we've just spent 4 months focusing on one area, which is, settle your Chonchim One and initiate your local prayer vigil. And I've been receiving many, as you have, many positive testimonies from members who appreciate having a local Chonchim One. You should know, I think it's unique to America. Even in Korea, they don't have this. They just have one sort of national Chonchim One. So it's, not just America. I think other countries are, of course, expanding Chonchim One. But in Korea, they can't do that. So, but we're a big country. And so we've been expanding. I'm not sure the final count so far, Inguk, Reverend Saul. What's our current number? Do you know, up to date? Almost 50 or 50?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
So our goal was to be able to offer to True Mother the substance of 50 Chonchim Ones settled around the country. And
again, for people that are new here, Chonchim One is sort of like a prayer shrine, so like a dedicated shrine to Hak Ja Han. They are trying to get 50 of them in the U.S. That sounds like a great use of money, by the way. It sounds like a great way to help save the world. Tell us again how charitable and peace-loving y'all are when you're spending money on these fucking shrines. Okay, continue.
I think we're basically there. So I think a big round of applause to everybody. Thank you for those of you who've already settled them, and thank you to those of you who have initiated the process. And there have been some creative approaches because of, rental space and all kinds of different things. But I imagine that by the end of the year, we could be up to maybe 80 or so around the country, with every state represented. So that's really, really good work. Thank you. And I think the pastors will find that this really helps you in many, many, many ways. First of all, there's so many problems that we can't solve with our clever thinking. And it's really much better to have an environment of prayer, an environment of the Chonchim One, where our couples, our families, our youth can go to pray and receive heaven's voice directly, even Mother's saying so. So well done for all of you who have already given that space for your members. And this will be helpful as pastors, because oftentimes, you can give advice, you can go from your intuition, you can go from your spiritual sense, you can give members conditions to do. But the first on your list now, when members approach you, is please pray first in the Chonchim One. And that's going to actually literally alleviate some of the burden that you have as a spiritual leader, because you're letting the Chonchim One do part of that work, right, Mark? So that's the beauty of it. But also, you will find that the Chonchim One, and in the future also local Chanyang and all of this, will also help stimulate your membership, and also be a new source of income to some degree for the local community. All those things are going to come down in the future, so please trust.
There it is, a new source of income. Okay, yep. A new source of income. Okay, continue.
That it's in your interests to settle your Chonchim One, initiate your prayer vigil, and now your Hunduke centering on Mother's words. And this will be a great thing to continue. So guess what? That's what we've just done. And you're going to continue doing that. So those of you that didn't settle yet, please do so. And those of you that have already initiated your prayer vigil and all of this, please continue to invest in that area. Does everybody agree? I think you will agree. That's a good plan, right? So that's what we've already done and will continue to do. Now, what do we do on top of that foundation is one thing. The most measurable outcome of this one thing will be that on average, the tithe will double.
Okay, here it is again. All about the money, isn't it? Straight into the money. How did I guess, Damien? How did I guess?
Who would like that? Who would like to see that? Now, I know it's very different in each community, but on average, imagine if the tithe doubles. And I'm going to walk through with you some ways in which I think that you will be wise to, achieve that outcome. Okay. And then, of course, you can add your creative flair. And then this will now be the basis of our weekly meetings from now on to the end of the year. So, for example, what testimonies we're going to be hearing for the most part. Of course, next week we'll probably be hearing testimonies about Mother's Event and other things that come up like that. But essentially, I just kind of want to focus on one thing at a time. And I think it's difficult to focus on 10 things at a time. So let's dive in and
Okay, so you're saying, first of all, before you even say that, one thought I had was like, yet again, there is no discussion of the well-being of your members at all. At all. It's about building shrines to a billionaire woman, and then it's straight into how can we get more money from these people. And you're saying right now that the money is going to be the focus for the foreseeable future. Okay. If all they talk about is money at the leadership level, what do you think is the driving aim of the organization? Is it spiritual growth, or is it maybe the money, the thing that all the leaders spend all their time talking about? Just saying. Okay, let's continue here.
And I've given you the conclusion, but now I'll give you a little bit of the detail.
Here we go. Okay, now we're on the slides. Quick review. Okay, first slide. Quick review and upcoming. All right. Okay, now we're like legit getting into slides. Also, one piece of context there. When the view showed the grid of all the faces, there are about 25 faces. Demographically speaking, it looked like 20 of the 25 were probably above the age of 60. And then the remaining 5 were maybe like under the age of 35 or 40. So it's not exactly like a crowd full of spring chickens here that we're talking about, just to paint the picture. And then you got Damien, who's slightly harder to place age-wise. He's kind of in the middle of those. His hair is also very dyed, which makes it harder to place him. Okay, let's go.
So quick review and what's coming up. So Mother's coming first.
Oh, here it is. A photo of the queen bee herself. Giant photo of Hak Jahan. Doesn't she look so lovely? The mother of peace with her billions of dollars. Okay, let's go.
Well, that's a big round of applause. Isn't she amazing? She's coming to America. She's excited. And I had a meeting. Thank you, Janil and Yasu and all of the youth. We had a meeting last night. Yeah, Janil, I don't know how many people attended, how many youth attended the youth meeting. There was at least 250 hookups with maybe people in the room. So, and by the way, when referring to youth, I should clarify, when I say hookups, I mean Zoom hookups.
Okay, thanks, Damien.
But we're talking about maybe 300-400 people. And there's already about 900 plus registered for the youth event. So I've already reported that to Mother. She's excited. And I kind of have a sense, by the way, of what the youth call to action may include. I have a sense. So don't let me leave the meeting before I let you know. Or maybe I should save that for the next year.
I'm going to go on a wild tangent here and suggest that maybe it might have something to do with money and or witnessing and or marriage trafficking. Those are the three that I'm pretty sure your call to action for the youth is going to entail one, two, or all three of those things.
Meeting. All right. So first of all, a review. Burn the sails. This is what we went through last week, correct?
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is the title from Mooney Leaks Volume 1. Okay.
A new era, a new history. So I already kind of foreshadowed today's meeting with this, with a review of what we did over the first 120 days. in fairness, it's a review of what I was focused on. I know that many of you accomplished many other things. So, really the new era, unity with True Mother, with rebirth in the Chonilguk era, the rebirth workshops, expanding the Chonshim Wan. So I was focusing on the workshops and encouraging you guys to settle the Chonshim Wans, but it was up to you guys to do that work, and you did a great job. So I think we are achieving the goal of 50 by the time True Mother arrives here. And of course, we had a reorientation towards True Mother's words through the prayer vigil. I'm really grateful for the discipline and the devotion and consistency that was set up by Dr. Yong, the previous 2.7, 2.5 years. And I know that many members really invested in that and enjoyed that. And so I really appreciate that foundation. The one element that I would have emphasized more strongly over the last 2.5 years was more strong awareness about who Mother is and what she's doing, and centering on her words, which of course is
just to dive in there. I think what he's alluding to there is, over the years, in the wake of the death of Sun Myung Moon, Hak Ja Han has further and further rewritten the lore of the Unification Church to write herself in as the so-called only begotten daughter, the one true Messiah, etc. And so I think that's kind of what he's alluding to, is I wish my predecessors has gotten y'all more on board with the fact that the queen bee is the new queen bee, and the old guy who you thought was the best guy isn't the best anymore because the queen bee says she's the best. That, I believe, is what he's talking about.
What I was focusing on in Asia, so that's the proof of what I thought was important. I do think, however, that I do want to acknowledge, I think that Dr. Yong's focus and style and content probably had an effect of awakening a lot of members that missed the early days with Father. Please mute everyone. Missed the early days with Father, and I heard some testimonies like that. But you'll notice that the first thing I did was two things. I said, focus on the morning devotion locally and focus on Mother's words for two key reasons. Number one, I don't want to overly centralize the nation centering on my voice. I want to localize the movement centering on Heavenly Parents' voice a little bit more. So Heavenly Parents' voice can be accessed through your local Chonshim Wan as facilitated by your local pastor, and your Hundoke centering on Mother's words will really bring you up to speed in heart more quickly with where we are in the providence. That's the point. It's not about Father or Mother, but it's about where we are in the providence. And so Mother is already now leading us into the 12th year soon of the Chonilguk. And so, that's why some education from 10, 20, 30 years ago is relevant, but nowhere near the amount that needed to be moving forward. So this is a change, reorientation towards True Mother's words. And then we've started some initial structural changes and information management area of active in areas of finance and legal. That's more the headquarters realm. We're trying to, put out the fires, as you know, and we're preparing for True Mother to come. This is just a brief review.
Yep, definitely putting out the fires based on Mooney Leaks Volume 1. Okay, let's go.
And I mentioned I'm coming out. I hope you understand what that means. Some of you know the Diana Ross song. I'm coming out. I want the world to know, right? So what I mean is really the first 120 days for me was really internal and laying a foundation. And with each 40 day being more out, but I really felt a shift in my heart after 120 days. And so now I am much more active in the external areas of management and so on.
It's the second time he's used that reference to the Diana Ross song, I'm Coming Out. Just saying, second time. think in the last video, he also made a few other references to maybe being a closeted gay man himself. I don't know. Look, if that's who you want to be, Damien, then you should be that person. I also want to say, Damien, way to make this shit about yourself. I mean, like, you're a leader and you're making it all about the shit that you did and you're coming out. Not about the shit that your people did, not about their accomplishments, but about you. So congrats. You have made it all about you. That's a great way to lead, dude. So good. So good. You're really, really top-notch leadership there. Make it about yourself and not about the people that you serve.
As well. And of course, will continue to be both internal and external. And just a recap of the crisis list, you know all these things.
This looks to be the same crisis list from Mooney Leaks Volume 1.
This is what we discussed last week, and we went into each of these in detail. We won't go into detail today, but we did that last week. So this is kind of the stakes. You know, every good movie has high stakes, right? So you're holding on what's going to happen to the end. Well, guess what? Very major high stakes. And I'm on the phone every day, 2 times a day with the team in New York regarding how the New Yorker case is going on, UCI and so on. Things are changing daily. Just your prayers are needed, and we'll keep you guys posted with pertinent details as we go, but keep your prayers on these matters, okay? And then just one slide recap of what I mentioned last week about where we're going. So we had that 120 days until now. And I put witnessing at the top of this list because those of you who are witnessing and members of yours who are witnessing, please continue to do so, right? The purpose of this call is to focus on what I think the pastors need to do. Now, some of you might be secretary generals and all of this, but the primary purpose of this call from me to you is what the pastors need to focus on.
I just want to read out the titles, or I just want to read out, the bullet points here for the audio people. These are the sort of core parts of Damien's plan here. Witnessing, number 1, witnessing. Please send in your reports about your witnessing results. So, how many people are you recruiting to join the cult to give us more money and free labor? Second point, in the meantime, focus on strengthening internally with the following subpoints. Internal environment, Chonshimwon, aka creating like marble palaces, shrines to worship Hakjahan, okay? Next point, external environment, worship, culture, education, the 99.999%. Not sure exactly what he's referring to there. Then in sort of fine print, he says, church essentially self-sufficient, but not vibrant everywhere. Then there are 2 more points. Need more youth involvement, and need more money. And then there's a point. Tithing increase. Let youth take on more roles, need money, and development. So you've mentioned money a fair few times here. Money twice, tithing once. That's basically money. So it's at least 3 times on this slide. Let's continue.
Right. So if the last 4 months was, Chonshimwon settlement, what is it going to be for the next 90 days? In essence, it's really strengthening the core. And so I already mentioned last time, focus on strengthening internally. So continue with the internal environment of Chonshimwon, and the external environment. I want to see a total revamp of our worship, our culture, and education. Education will take some time, but even based on what you've already heard, you can start to adjust what you've been doing. I think we already heard your testimony, Reverend Holmes, one time. If we didn't, let's put that in for a future meeting based on coming back to LA after the Rebirth workshop and immediately retooling your existing one-day workshop to a new format based on what Mother told us to do, right? So Mother's working on stuff, but we don't need to wait for Korea. We can work with what we've got based on True Mother's intention regarding education. But education, that's a lot in development. All of these things take time, and they take money. And I think they also take young blood, new blood. I'm not asking our old pastors to come up and reinvent the worship culture. I'm asking our older pastors and elders to yield the floor to the youth. And what I've heard from more communities than one is that the problem with youth is that they're just not as consistent as they need to be.
Okay, let's go. Okay. That is a great opener. If you want to win over the youth, Damien, just talk shit about them. But let's go. So good. Okay. Convince me, Damien.
Dang nabbit. Well, I say one of the reasons they might not be as consistent is because you're just depending on volunteerism. And I think that this area is as important as your pastoral role. In other words, I'd like you to appoint a worship leader, a young one. And they may have skills in that area. They may not have skills in that area, but we will work together on raising those skills. And right now it's like, oh, we jangle the keys, in front of the youth for like one Sunday a month or something like this. No, give them every Sunday. But what you're struggling with is that they don't necessarily, they're not able to commit to every Sunday. So I think we need to increase our funds so that we can invest. Some of you have great lighting and great sound equipment and great instruments, but many don't. Some of you don't even have the people to play the instruments. I understand. So it needs to be, engineered according to the size of your community and what's natural for your community. But for example, if all you're doing is a guitar and a mic, maybe there's a new speaker that you can buy, right? And maybe there's a couple of lights that you can buy just to give a little bit of a taste of something new. But it's not just that 1 hour moment. It's the other aspects of how you can welcome and welcome everyone. So we're going to be looking at some of these suggestions, okay? But this is the single slide. I think the most important thing is we're self-sufficient, but we're not really vibrant across the board, right, Milhan? It's like we're bringing enough money in to kind of do the main things, but in terms of new things, it's like, well, where's the money? Where's the manpower? Where's the know-how? And where's the spirit? So that's kind of what I want to focus on over the next 3 months. And it's all about the HJ tithe, because I think the HJ tithe is going to be central to not only having maybe a few more dollars to work with, but actually you're solving a spiritual problem, right, Joshua? So let's get into it. The next 3.
Solving a spiritual problem by throwing money at it. Yes, this is an organization that directly equates spiritual merit with dollars in the door. It's not about what you do. It's about how much money you give. This new slide says 3 months until December 31st, strengthening our core.
Months, strengthening our core, October 3. Pastors, okay, I'm going to do 2 sets for pastors and for youth pastors. And there's many more roles on the table to look at, but this is just the 2 key roles. Some of you don't have youth pastors. Some of you have senior pastors. So from this, just figure out how it pertains to you and your size community. First of all, continue to settle the Chonchimon and initiate your local prayer vigil, right? If not possible still, then at least engage with a larger community that has already done so. So if you're a small community of 3 or 4 families in 3 hours outside of LA, maybe you can join in via Zoom with Pastor Holmes every morning. At least have that available for your local members, even out.
Wow. So just to clarify here, what he's suggesting is that people are dialing in to daily calls with their pastor. In other words, checking in daily with their handler. It's another way to think about it. If you were a high control group and you wanted to get all up in the business of all your people, you might want to convince them that speaking with their leader on a daily basis was mandatory for their spiritual lives.
Your homes in the morning as a first step. Arju? So settle your chonchimwans and work together, large and small, to...
And by the way, I just want to say that seems like a bit of an escalation from when I was a kid growing up in this place. I mean, well, not really, actually, because I mean, my parents weren't calling into a church leader every day, although they were going into an office where their bosses were church leaders every day. So I guess it's kind of the same thing. In a sense, it was worse. But I guess maybe as the workforces have become further dispersed, the church is using this sort of daily dial-in to your leader, since fewer people are maybe working for church businesses, so that they can keep an eye on them. That's my thoughts.
Figure out how everyone can have access to this space. Next, information management. Now, this is going to be somebody that you appoint in your, it's not usually going to be the pastor. Usually the pastors are really just not good at this. These seniors, at least. Some of you are, but
these seniors, at least. Okay.
Usually the pastors are just not good at this. All right. And some of the pastors even have a bad taste in their mouth about spreadsheets and numbers, right? But you can appoint someone, as you know, and secretary generals, please help our pastors at the sub-regional level to make sure that every community has someone who's accountable for the information. And I think that's already been going on and underway. So like I've said, deputize a trusted member to handle this as an administrative role, and the secretary generals will support. Next, create a tithing report, okay? Create a tithing.
There it is, a report on who's giving what. So if I'm looking at these bullet points, basically settle the Chonshin one and initiate local prayer vigil. That's point number one. It's basically surveil your members. Point number two, information management. So implement a way to keep track of the data that you're getting from your members from point number one. And then point number three is create a tithing report. So make sure you're capturing the most important part, which is how much money they're giving, and passing that information up the food chain. That seems to be what this slide is about so far. And again, I ask, where is a single reference to the well-being of church members?
Report. Now, you remember I showed you an example of this last week in the New Jersey area. So look at this. This is what I want to wake you guys up to. Okay.
And he's showing a spreadsheet, basically capturing various tiers of membership. Tier 1, core / tithing, $200 plus per month. Tier 2, regular, $40 plus per month. Tier 3, contributing $10 a month. And 4, participating less than $10 per month. And he has 4 columns for different regions in the New York, New Jersey area. By the way, for those keeping track of how big this organization is, I'm looking at you, Eileen Barco, who took money from the Moonies and said there's 3 million of them globally. There are in New Jersey, there, according to this internal spreadsheet, there are 444 members that are paying dues in New Jersey, probably one of the bigger areas for the church. Across the 3 New York areas, there's 131 plus 100 plus 140. So what's that? 371 people. So across New York and New Jersey, that's less than 1,000 tithing members of the Unification Church. There's no way you get to 3 million members globally with membership numbers like that in like the most populated metro area in the U.S.
When we talk about tithing, okay? When you look at your information, tell me if I'm wrong, Reverend Ronan. When you look at your information of your tithing, you will be blown away. Okay? So this is just 4 of the communities in the New Jersey Subregion 1. And none of this is personal information. This is just numbers. There's no names. I'm not going to show you names. but the pastor can see the names. And this is now Reverend Now Kimi's breakdown model of how to look at a tithe. And I want to spend a couple more minutes on it this week so you actually understand what I'm talking about. First of all, the first column, New Jersey. So that's formerly known as Clifton Church. There's actually 1,600 members on the books. Now, some of those may be deceased or moved out of state. Some of them may be in a splinter group right now.
Oh, damn. I know who you're talking about, Damien. Actually, there's a couple. I know who you're talking about. Some of them may be in a splinter group. Okay, all right.
And I know that Reverend Now Kimi Ushiroda wants to update this list. It's called sanitize the list, although that doesn't sound nice. That's what it is. You sanitize the data. So you need to make sure that it's relevant. Do we really have 1,600 members on our books that we're taking care of and praying for? We have to know, right? But out of that number, whether it's 1,600 or 1,200, there are only 444 in the last 6 months donating to the church. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you, Mary Robles? For example, what is tithing, by the way? Tithing is 10%. And what it actually is 100% to God, and God gives you back 90%. We know this. But we have sort of...
What? I haven't heard that before. Okay. Okay.
Grown up with an attitude over the last few decades in this movement that tithing is something, first gen do. Donating to causes, if they're willing, is something more likely that second gen do. Some people say that. There's a lot of second gen that tithe. But if you look at the demographics of the core tithers in each community, they're usually people that aren't going to be with us for like a long time.
Oh, fucking hell. Oh my God, the penny just dropped for me, Damien. That's why you're fucking freaking out about the money. Because the people who are giving you the most are going to die soon. Fucking hell, that's a fucking demographic time bomb. Holy shit, this is fucking amazing. Wow, okay. I hadn't put that together, Darian, but thank you for doing that. That's one of my favorite moments in this whole podcast is that. Fucking amazing. Okay.
So if the top 100 tithers in the American movement went to the spirit world in the next 7 years, we'd have to close the church.
Oh my God, this is amazing. Thank you, Damien.
It's like that. That's serious. So it's important that we look at it. So now look at these 4 categories that now Kimi came up with. $200 a month plus.
It's genuinely like a business. A business is like we have all this risk concentrated with our biggest customers. How do we diversify? And we know some of our biggest customers are going to be going out of business in the next, call it 10 years. So we know we're fucked. So we can see the cliff edge coming. How do we fill that gap that we know is coming down the road? Oh my God.
That's per individual. So if you see 64 people, that might actually be, 32 couples. It's probably something like, 24 couples and a few individuals if you look at the data. But, that could just be 32 families, 32 couples. Right? So he breaks it down as 60 by the individual level, because you can't compare everything by counting some as couples and some as individuals. So everything's boiled down to the individual. So if the couple gives $400, then that's $200 per person, right? That means 64 people are core tithing members out of 1,600. Ideally, it's 1,600 core tithing members, but it's just here 64. And let's be honest, is $200 really a tithe? $200 means $24,000 a year income. How many of us are making $24,000 a year? Or as a couple, $48,000? I don't think in most states you can't survive. I promise you in New Jersey, you cannot survive easily on $48,000 if you're a couple or a family. Now, you will argue, of course, that the lower income families really struggle to give large amount of monies when, you know, they're struggling to break even. I get it. Totally get it. And I know some of you might also be thinking about Kodan and other things. I get it. And you might be thinking about Chonwon-gung donations and other special projects. I get it.
Yes, of course, people are thinking about all the other fucking things you're demanding money for. So just so people understand, this is like the tithe he's talking about is just the month in, month out, giving that money just straight off your paycheck. That's what he's talking about. And then he's just listed 3 of the 957 other things that they ask money for from their members. So yes, most of these people don't earn a lot of money. Some of the ones that are giving the most are probably pensioners now, and you're giving it out to them for not giving enough. Okay, tell us again how you care for your membership, Damien.
That's why I asked, Mark Abernathy, what do you do? And he confirmed, 90% of my members are tithing 10% on average, direct debit to the bank every month. And on top of that, they give on Sunday and they give to other causes. So it's a normal kind of Christian foundation that we should stand on and improve. Father even said, 30%, right? So I think most...
Fuck you, 30%.
Of us have an attitude that it's a little bit uncomfortable to ask our members to give money, but actually we need to 180 that mindset. First of all, why do I feel that way? Is it because I haven't actually called that member in 10 years and asked them how they are? Maybe, right? So we need to address those things. But actually, this is not a financial problem for New Jersey. This is a spiritual problem. So just, 2 days ago, I was having dinner with Reverend Holmes. May I mention what I mentioned to you, Reverend Holmes? Right. So Reverend Joshua Holmes mentioned, look, I think we can solve our financial problem because there's a similar kind of breakdown in LA, right? So he said, look, I think we can solve our financial problems much more quickly by bringing back our lost second generation.
Here we go. Okay. Again, let's bring back the lost second generation. For financial reasons. All y'all second generation who might be feeling family members saying, hey, why don't you come back? Just know that it's for the money. That's why.
And I said, whoa. We want to do that. But do you really want to bring your lost second generation back into this situation? This isn't a financial problem that you're solving. This is a spiritual problem. So just looking back at the data here.
Okay, I'm confused. Okay, but I'm pretty sure it's about the money, Damien. You've already mentioned that spiritual merit equals dollars in. So I'm pretty sure it is a money problem that you're masking as a spiritual problem. Okay, let's go.
$200. Now, many of them give maybe 1,000 or more, but the benchmark is pretty low. The bar is pretty low to be considered a core tither, seeing as that just means as a couple, you're at the poverty line almost, like $48,000 a year.
Oh, fuck you, Damien. Fuck you. Oh my God.
So this is a very easy threshold. And then the next threshold is $40 to $200. And then the next threshold is $10 plus, 10 to 40. And then the final one is $10 or less.
Damien, if someone's at the poverty line, shouldn't you be concerned about them and how they're doing? Just for a second, shouldn't you be concerned about their livelihood if someone's at the poverty line or below it? Again, I've heard zero concern for your people at all. The only concern you have is the spiritual one that also happens to be equal to money. Let us continue.
Than $10. Now, please don't be confused about these categories. We don't speak to our members like, oh, you're a regular member, you're a participating member. No, this is just for leadership.
Oh, okay. So this is how they're tracking y'all. They are labeling you. They are categorizing you. I would like to say in my professional life, I work in sales. I'm proud to say that. I'm proud of the place I work. We do this all the time professionally. We tier our customers. We tier our potential customers based on what we believe is their propensity to pay. And all businesses do this. I'm not ashamed to say that I do that in my professional life. But if I was claiming to have some interest in the spiritual lives of people and I was tiering them based on how much they could pay me, I would not be proud of that.
Right, Reverend Rendell? If we talk about categorization, it's for leadership to understand the health of your family. Some of your children are in elementary school. Some of your children are in university. Some of your children are away at camp. They all need to be treated differently according to where they are at in their process, correct? But this is pretty low bar stuff, right? Reverend Naokimi is not making it that.
Where does the understanding of that come from if all you're boiling people down to is how much money they pay? I'm still kind of confused here. As to how what you're doing allows for all the nuance of actually really understanding your membership.
Difficult to be considered a core tithing member, and yet we've only got 64 of them. So let me, now, Kimi, can I tell everybody what Clifton Church is bringing in every month?
Before you tell us, Damien, I just want to really dig into this. If you are a member of the Unification Church, you should know that you have now been categorized into one of 4 categories. Category 1, core/tithing member, $200 plus per month. Category 2, regular, $40 plus per month. Category 3, contributing, $10 plus per month. Or category 4, participating, less than $10 per month. You are one of those 4 categories if you're a member of the Unification Church in the U.S. And your name is on a sheet somewhere with a tag assigning you a value based on how much money you bring to the organization.
May I do so? I can't see you, so if you're on, please tell me. If you're not on, then I'll just say it anyway, because if you're not on, you can't defend yourself. Anyway, we're all leaders here. So Clifton Church brings in the most of any other church in America. It brings in about, and if this is wrong, we'll correct it next week. It brings in about $60,000 a month. And it costs about $60,000 to run. So don't be like, ooh, they've got a lot of money. Why are they spending all that money? It takes a huge staff, a lot of part-time staff, a lot of overheads, a lot of fixing things constantly and all of this, right? So, by the way, another thing I want to move into is an era of greater financial transparency where, we can understand what's going on, and to enough of a degree, our members can understand what's going on. But think about looking at these numbers.
Let's start here, Damien. Let's start with this level of transparency about how you categorize your people.
1,600 on the books. Even if it's only 1,000 that's actually alive and in his state coming to Clifton, do you think you would be able to double the income looking at this? Look, you've got 195 people basically kicking in like a tank of gas, or probably about 200 people on average. I looked at the data, contributing about a tank of gas a month. What would it take to ask them to kick in 2 tanks of gas or 3 tanks of gas, Shizuka? You know what I mean? Because frankly speaking, if you're only donating $40 a month, you're not even paying for the coffee and bagels that the church is providing for you. Do you understand the reality? Is it okay that we look at reality? I know we all love to talk about why can't headquarters talk about the truth and talk about reality until we start talking about data of the local community. Then all of a sudden we don't want to talk about reality so much. But this is the reality. So it's beautiful reality. For me, this is not something I'm shameful about or unhappy about. I'm really happy about it because I feel that it wouldn't be too difficult in New Jersey to double the income, even within 3 months. Because a lot of these regular tithers will become core tithers, and a lot of the contributing will become regular, and so on. And not just that, there's only 444. What about another 200 that you could bring online, right? And there's many ways you can do it. And this includes all of the donations, not just the tithing, but also Sunday donations and other contributions. So it's really not difficult, I think. But we're here to look at that in more detail. So that's an example of just one community. So information, I want you to create your own tithing report with that information, analyze your members' tithes, and look at each name, put it in order from top to bottom. And you can organize them into these 4 categories that we're doing on the East Coast. And this is just for your internal reference, not for members.
There it is. Shocker. These categories are for your reference, not for members. So if you're a member, you're not meant to know are you a 1, 2, 3, or 4. But they are tracking you. They are tracking you.
And then I propose the first way to solve this challenge is visitation. And in fact, this is actually the subject activity that I'm asking you to engage in for the next 90 days. The outcome, the easy to measure outcome objective is increased income, Milhan. But the subject activity, the actual core focus of your initiative should be loving your members, which is visitation. Personally visit the members. You, the pastor, visit all of them. And I suggest starting at the top of your tithing list, start with your largest donors and go all the way down to your bottom donors, and then go to those who've never come. Don't start with those who are outside. Start with those who have been diligently contributing as owners until now.
Okay. There it is again. Okay, so if I wear my corporate sales hat, which I've been wearing for a long time in the professional world, you want to tier your customers and prospects, and especially if they're currently paying customers, if you want to raise revenues, then you tier them and you start talking to the ones with the already demonstrated high propensity to spend, and you go out and you see them and you see if you can align more services with them, and in my case actually sell them something valuable that's going to help them in their businesses. But this seems like corporate sales 101. This is not spiritual at all. This is fucking business school corporate sales. That's what this is. Okay, let's keep going. Oof, I'm like cringing internally for Damien here.
And they will be the ones who help you reach the next people. In fact, I promise you, your top donor, tell them what you're doing, and your top donors will give you advice on how to meet the next guy. Do you understand? And then don't just doggedly stick to your list, but if your top donors give you some advice, then pray on it and follow it. For example, if they say, hey, go and reach out to this person who hasn't tithed in 3 years because they're hung up on some issue, then follow that top donor's advice. They are a part of your team. In fact, some of them may even be able to be deputized as part of your team if you're in a larger community. Okay? And for large communities, you're going to need to utilize your team the best way you can. I know Naokimi has the largest community, I think, and he's already like organizing, into like maybe being able to meet small groups at a time and so on. But Reverend Naokimi and Pastor Nancy, Pastor Takino-san, don't just delegate everything. I want you to go down to the front line and meet the members. Okay? But there's an increased level of delegation that's going to be needed at the bigger communities in order to bring this offering to the table by the end of December. Aju? I know that there's many other issues like retirees are poor and so on. So
Holy fuck. Yeah, that's Jesus Christ, you're Mr. Sensitivity there, Damien. Yeah, I know there's some issues like retirees are poor. Jesus Christ, dude, you don't give a fuck about these people.
please be creative. Maybe those who are only able to give $40 a month, those who are giving 20, maybe they can give 40. It will be spiritually really liberating for them. But also maybe they can more sincerely and earnestly pray for their second generation children to come back, their successful children to come back. And then at least internally they can feel, some offering is being offered there, right?
Their successful children to come back. So Damien, if you're second generation, Damien only wants you if you're making that money. Oh my God. That might be my second favorite part of this whole goddamn podcast. Only want them back if they're making money. Okay.
So please be creative. As a pastor, you can guide them. Look, on average, guys, we're tithing like 2 to 3% in America. Okay? Probably less. I mean, those who are tithing 2 to 3%. There's many who aren't. I'm not even including the people who aren't giving. So how difficult, without even getting any new members, without any old members coming back, how hard is it to double our tithe from 2.5% to 5%? Right? We're only asking for like a 2 to 3% yield increase. It's not that much, right, Milhan? You would immediately double the amount of money that we have in the community to work with and start investing into the local community even more. I think we can do it. So this is visitation. Visitation is the main activity I'm asking. What's the one thing I'm asking the pastors to do for the next 3 months? Type it in if you understand. Visitation. One of the pastors texted me last night to say, look, I'm so excited to visit. I've been waiting to do this. I've been longing to do this. But it's like I'm a little bit worried because when I do this, then what about this and what about that? What if they say this? What if they say that? And if I should ask them about their tithe, if I should thank them for their tithe, if I should ask them if they're willing to do as an automatic direct debit, I'm not sure how to do it, or it might not work. It might work. So guess what I said, Milhan? I said, don't worry. Heavenly Parent will guide you. Just go and knock on the door and say, let's have some tea together. How are you doing? And then if for some reason you really feel you can't talk to them about the HJ tithe on that first visit, talk about it the second time. But it should happen before the end of the... Look, I'm just doing what we did in Asia with.
So don't be honest about why you're visiting them. Kind of reel them in, make friends with them, and then you go for the clothes. Okay.
Much poorer people than you. Okay.
Wow. So he's milked much poorer people than he's trying to milk now. That is truly disgusting behavior as a human being, Damien. Wow. I mean, just wow. Oh, slimy. Fucking slimy.
The poorest retiree among us, even given that you have high rental and high gas prices, guess what? Gas costs even more in Nepal. Property costs even more in Nepal. So food is cheaper, but these are people who are, giving up their children's school fees to give to mother, and they were so blessed in response.
Fuck you, Damien. Oh my God. I'm glad I got that shit on tape. Fuck you and fuck Haq Jahan. Did you fucking hear that, guys? On tape. This motherfucker, he's proud of convincing poor people in Nepal to give their kids school fees to a billionaire bitch who probably has 500 Gucci handbags. Fuck off, Damien.
So if even the poorest among us tithe, they will be blessed. Isn't that the principle of it, Milhan? They will be blessed in return with prosperity. So don't be shy about it. You're not solving a financial problem. You're solving a spiritual problem. And you're creating the problem by not visiting them and not asking them for their HJ tithe. So we're going to change it. You're the problem. We are the problem, not them. When was the last time we really thought about this? And I'm not talking about a tithing message from the podium. That's worth nothing. I'm talking about really letting them know. How did Mark Abernathy do it? He went to each house, sat down with them, and asked them one by one, how are you? Thank you. We need you. Can you help more? Because we need you. God needs you. And this is what we're going to be doing together. Oh my God, who doesn't want to hear that? Before we talk about witnessing, we've got to clean up our house. Of course, we're going to bring new, and by the way, any new members that are coming witness, bring them to church on Sunday, no problem. And over the next 3 months, there's other things we're going to be changing on the youth pastors. But I want the pastors to focus on this. What I want you to focus on? Visitation. Here's more to it. What's the HJ tithe? I want you to increase. I wish to ask all members in the church to tithe as a matter of hyojang. This is a new kind of tithe. I would like you to develop a new attitude around tithing, new attitude. Increase by 100% by the end of December. Now, those of you who are already going amazingly at like high level of income, you might not be able to double, but you can increase. All right. Results will vary based on community size and so on, but we should see a considerable increase even before we gain new members. Okay, tithing results should be tied to visitation. Now, from the nation, I might be messaging about giving, and you can sometimes message about giving, but it might be difficult for you to message about giving unless you have the confidence that your members are going to follow you. So you need to give first. And then you need to check your team is giving, and you need to check your staff is giving, and then you need to start meeting with each of your donors and thank them. So please try set up direct debit auto pay. Since COVID, we're all online with our digital giving. Maybe we can auto pay it. That would be much better. Okay. Now deputize so that you can focus on this. I want you to focus on this. What do I want you to focus on? Type it in the chat box. But I'm working 5 days a week. I'm a part-time pastor, Friday through Sunday, and I got to come up with the Sunday service. How can I visit? Call on your lunch break. Visit for lunch. Visit early morning in the Chonshim one for breakfast. Visit for dinner somewhere. Visit on Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday, and let somebody else do the sermons for the next 3 months. Maybe you just do 3 sermons once a month. And don't just pass it on to your youth pastor, because they're going to be busy too. So discuss it amongst yourselves and figure out who among you can bring a testimony on Sunday or bring something. Sunday's not as complicated as we pretend it is. Just let the machine continue purring. You've got your Chonshim one going, hopefully. Now I want you to focus on what? Just what you've testified. Visit, call, communicate. Visit. Now, during the next 3 months, meet with your team and start setting growth goals for 2025. Consider where you want your community to be by the next major milestone. I think by January 1st, we should really have an idea about this, don't you? Now, if I was from another country, I'd already be rolfing this down your neck as of 3 weeks from from my inauguration. I'm so gentle.
Fuck you, Damien. I'm so gentle. Oh my God. What a manipulative bastard. If I was a meaner guy, I'd be saying this, but I'm so nice. This is what really manipulative people do. And that is what's being done right now.
But I think over the next 3 months, effective, based on our increased prayer, based on our increased tithe and our new worship, we can definitely start to get a better sense of where we want to be in our community by 2025. Right, Mohan? Where do you want to be? What offering do you want to bring to the table in May of 2025? That's what you want to really be praying about and looking at over the next 3 months, okay? So
now here we have Damien with a slide that says youth pastors creating the environment. All right. Let's hear about the glorious environment that will be created. Let's go, Damien.
That's for the pastors. Now, youth pastors. Now, I'm using this categorization of youth pastors, but in some case it might be, a different structure of your team. But basically, for our youth pastors and leaders, I want you to focus on creating a new environment. I'm not expecting our wilderness course people to really be the superstars in creating a new environment. Those of you who are at the Rebirth Workshop know how much we love that old, amen. Those of us that are good at that, let's take a back seat and yield to the younger ones to come up with some new stuff. And it can be trial and error, okay? And I'm not asking you to copy Hillsong. I'm asking you to
to copy Hillsong. Wait, have you looked up Hillsong recently? This is the church that's embroiled in all kinds of scandals. Excuse me. Okay, wow. Okay, Damien. Yes, that's a great thing to aspire to. Just people look that up if you don't know what he's talking about.
Pray in the Chonchim one and listen to what Mother's saying about it and ask God how God wants us to worship in the family fed in the Chonoguk era. It's something new. So let's work our way towards that. So I want you to appoint a new worship leader if you can. Either it's the youth pastor themselves or somebody else. Improve your music, create a more welcoming environment, study how to do it online. Look, we're going to be creating worship workshops. I'm going to gather all the young people in one place and we're going to have a whole workshop dedicated to how to worship. We're going to be singing together, praying together, leading worship together. It's going to be awesome. Imagine that, just day after day of doing that. But in the meantime, you can learn like 80% of what you need in like one day on YouTube. And then we'll start sharing, we'll set up some way to share best practices together. And invest into new staging and lighting where possible, not where possible. Sorry for this typos, where possible. And you're going to be able to invest because your pastor is going to be bringing in new income from HJ tithing. Aju. Also, HJ Nuri, at least once, every medium to large community, try do something once before the end of the year with the flavor of HJ Nuri.
Sorry, I don't know exactly what that's in referral to. HJ Nuri, spelled HJNURI for the audio people. If anyone knows what that is, please let me know. I think in general, you may have noticed that some of the terminology I am not familiar with, and I think that is indicative of the fact that the terminology continues to change because the ideology and the doctrine continues to change to suit the whims of the Moon family. There is no continuity to it. It's always changing. It's kind of by design. So yeah, when I was growing up, there was no HJ Nuri, but now evidently it's a big thing for kids. If you know what it is, then please tell me.
And please try to encourage more and more volunteering from the youth to take ownership. A lot of the time they don't want to volunteer because they're tired of waiting. I'm sorry. In some cases, we've got one guy, welcoming people at the door, setting up the tech, taking the video, taking the photos, leading the music, deciding the program. Like, come on. Enough already. Like, I would literally just give those guys, either a cruise ship, a thank you, like a cruise ship trip, thank you, send them off for 2 weeks, or whatever, but just let some young people come in and say, look, here's what we got. What would you do with it? Just give it a shot, right? Give it a shot. And let the community know that you're doing this so they support it. Okay, new worship, right? Together with the pastoral scene, this is what I'm talking about. And then especially at least one Sunday. Now, what was I doing in Bangkok? I was teaching, I left them alone for 3 months to figure out that nobody could figure out, even with YouTube, nobody could figure it out. So I appointed a second gen as the vice president of the nation of Thailand. And I told him, I want the national leader, first gen, your job is protect this guy. All I want you to do, Mr. First Gen guy, is deal with all of the committees, all of the problems, all of the old people ideas. You deal with that and let the vice president focus 1000% on creating a totally new culture and environment in the church. And he's in charge. And you put him next to you at the table, not at the end. Don't ask at the end of the meeting, like for the youth report. The youth report from now should be the first report at the meeting. And he should be the one setting the atmosphere in church. Put him in charge. If he makes a mistake, no problem. He will learn. But don't tell him how to do it. Just protect him. You deal with all of the old things. Let him create a whole new spirit. And then I myself went there. We put a band together, and Yumiko and I went there every night from 8 to 10:30 p.m. with a bag of goodies from 7-Eleven. And we sat with them and we listened to them and we encouraged them. And of course, because of who I am, I couldn't stop myself. I had to tell the drummer how to drum, the bassist how to play bass, the guitarist how to play guitar, and the singer how to sing, and how to do it in a way that really looks good, sounds good, and just pick 3 songs and practice them every day. And then by Sunday, it's going to sound awesome. Guess what? If you want your young people to do that, you're going to need to buy the equipment if you don't have it, and give them a little bit of fund to work with, some food, some little bit spending money, right? So please work on that. New worship. And it can be coordinated to take place soon after. So this idea of at least one Sunday a month being a really spectacular Sunday, and maybe your senior pastor gives some word that time. He's been visiting all month. He's got an inspiring testimony to give. But Joshua Holmes already initiated in LA area like a monthly service day where they just go into the local community. They tried Pancake Wednesdays until they realized that actually it's a Hispanic area largely. It's better to focus on Taco Tuesdays. So study your demographic, serve the community, and while you're
Okay. Okay, David.
serving them, invite them to come to church 3-4 days later for your spectacular Sunday, right? Time your things so that it works. And by the way, this is where I want YSP to go, I think, more in the realm of like serving and this kind of thing. So this is new worship. Mother's coming. She's already in.
Oh, it's another photo of Hak Ja Han. Ain't she beautiful, y'all? Don't we fucking love her? The mother of peace.
Hawaii. She's on her way here in a couple of days. I believe she's going to really give a big challenge to the ACLC and also to the youth. I think especially she's interested in younger youth being motivated. Those of you who feel motivated to do overseas mission. And we're going to be looking at that, or GPA is doing that, but we might try expand that realm because, oh my God, personally, what you told me the other day, Reverend Rendell, about what you were doing those first 2 years out, with the Jewish students, you should share that story next time we have a YSP meeting. That kind of activity YSP can do, just like overseas missions, service projects. It doesn't have to be YSP. I'm not.
Sorry, just chiming in here. YSP, I believe, stands for Youth Service for Peace. Yet again, a bouquet of letters. That is yet another front group for the Moonies and for the Moon family.
Looking it into one category. But I think that Mother is really looking at the true grandchildren's generation who is now kind of graduating Sun Moon and UPA soon, and they're probably going to be going overseas for 1 year. Mother may even set up like a special blessing category for those youth who commit to doing like a year of overseas mission. So
a special blessing category. Here we go. Let's further subsidize the fake racist xenophobic structure that we've created here. Cool, to make extra special holy people. Yeah, that sounds fucking cool, Damien. Really, really delighted to hear that.
Can feel Mother's thinking in this way. She may mention this when she comes, but we're getting ready to receive Mother, and I've taken 20 minutes extra. So God knows what you've got time left for. I hope you've enjoyed this. I've got to run downstairs. I think the key is 3 months of visitation. You're going to have to figure out how to do it in your local community. Meanwhile, All of the other organizations have their missions. We'll be talking about that. But I'm really focusing on this call for the pastors and the youth pastors and your administration team, if you have one. Please really take this seriously. Pray on it desperately. And then just start with your top donors. They're going to be the most welcoming, and they're going to be the most grateful that you just knock by and stop by, and they're going to be the most helpful to help you on the way down the list. Okay. God bless you guys. Do you agree, Aju?
Yeah.
Okay. Now back to you, Shizuka. Thank you so much. Let's treat our family members like VIPs, and we're going to be treating our VIPs like family members. I'm going to bring that standard to America. I think it counts here just as much as Asia. Aju?
Aju.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah, let's give him a round of applause, everybody.
Aju.
That was awesome. I'm also a pastor, so practical, so straightforward. I was just like, okay, I need to like listen to this recording again. But anyways, thank you so much for everything. Special message for sure. And
I'll send you the PowerPoint, maybe through Tal. So if that helps for those of you that need the reference notes. Yeah. Thank you, Shizuka. Thank you, everyone. I'll go.
Just a word on all the faces here when Damien's ending this. When he's basically like, yo, get some more money from your people. Just the body language of most of the attendees here, especially for people listening to the audio version, they're all kind of looking down, kind of awkwardly. I don't really think they're into this whole vibe, quite honestly. That is my outside perspective on this. None of these people was really down with cracking the whip financially on their congregations. That's just my read here.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, we have a few minutes, and I think so maybe we'll just go over like 10 minutes if everyone's okay with that. So because we have actually some
folks, what do we think? How's old Damien doing? Hi, Damien. Hi, Damien's team. What's going on, folks? How's the old information management going for you? For the people that are still members of the Unification Church, after listening to this, I'd like you to ask yourself, are you a core tithing member? Are you a non-core tithing member? Are you a contributing member? Where do you stand in the hierarchy? What spreadsheet are you on? Under what category? And isn't it astonishing that the category is purely financial? Purely financial. What might that say about the aims of the organization? And if you're working for this guy, if you're working for Damien, you're like, just listen to this shit. You're working for a guy who's bragging about misleading poor families in poor countries to give money that should be for their kids' education to a billionaire woman who's building palaces and has God knows how many handbags. How many fucking Gucci handbags does Tak Jahan have? Does he really need another one? It's astonishing. And you people that are still working there, you're part of the fucking problem too. I'm sorry. You can't see how fucking evil Damien is and how fucking evil this empire is. Shame on you for being part of it. I know you were manipulated into being there, but you're still part of this. And you still have agency in this. You can still walk away. Anyone who's part of the PR apparatus, the financial apparatus, the so-called preaching apparatus, you have agency and you can walk away. And if you truly believe in the concept of sin, in the concept of good and evil, contributing to your place in the spirit world when you leave, consider the fact that you are stealing money from poor people in poor countries to give them to a very wealthy woman. Isn't that a sin? How would Jesus feel about that? You think he'd be cool with that? I somehow doubt it. And if he's not cool with that, then, and that's all part of how you view the world, then maybe you might be on the wrong side of history here. And you might want to consider getting the fuck out. And before I go, I want to share with you something that's going to make you cringe. It's going to make you cry. Thank you. Thank you to the blessed bowels of the internet for giving me the following. I'm going to end this episode with none other than Damien Dunkley singing Sweet Nothings of True Love to none other than Hak Ja Han. For the audio people, it's Damien, looks like his wife. Hak Ja Han, some other dude, sitting at a table in front of an aquarium of fish. Looks like they're waiting for some sort of meal. Here they are sitting at that table, I think, and
wise men say only fools rush in,
I'm sorry.
but I can't help falling in love with you. Shall I stay? Would it be wrong of me
Camera zooming in on Hak Ja Han.
if I can't help falling in love with you?
So for the people that are listening just to the audio version, Damien is standing across a banquet table in front of Hak Ja Han with maybe 10 other people around the table sitting down, looking at him, standing up, singing to Hak Ja Han. Hak Ja Han is sitting down with her eyes closed, listening intently to this sexy-ass love song of Damien's. Let's go, Damien.
Like a river flows surely to the sea, mother, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. I'll take your hand, give my whole life to you.
It's also really weird. He's not looking at her. He's got his eyes looking down. He hasn't looked at her once, but he's singing this clearly to her. Okay?
Right, can't help falling in love with you. Like a river flows surely to the sea, true mother, so it goes. Some things are meant to be. I'll take your hand, I'll give my whole life to you, for I can't help falling in love with you. For I can't help falling in love with you.
Damien, you could cut the sexual tension with a knife, buddy. You know, you and Hakshahan just need to fuck and get it over with. Okay? Please do that for the good of everyone. Thank you again to the wonderful, wonderful people who have provided me with the content that formed the foundation of this episode. I love y'all. Everyone, I will see you next time. Peace.